does your existing communication network effectively support information patterns within your power network? So here, evaluate the technologies and applications you need to support your business. What are your current and optimal communication patterns across the operations, for example? Have you properly assessed these capabilities? What will it take for your network to support them? So this graphic on this page depicts the common communication patterns that, with the help of software tools, should effectively be interconnected in the case of, let's say, a fault or event management. So can you scale to handle, let's say, 100+ million events a day? Can you prevent, detect, locate, isolate, and restore the system automatically? Can you immediately determine the impact of the event or tell the business the financial impacts to the business or the status of a service ticket, for example? So this is a good checkpoint to make sure that the network is actually supporting the information patterns that you require out of your network. The last concept I really wanted to touch on is that of achieving, within achieving your modernization of your network, is security. Security is really a key to building a secure and compliant communications infrastructure. Interconnecting elements throughout the domains of the smart grid can really increase your vulnerability to cyber attacks. So these can include deliberate attacks by disgruntled employees or terrorists or even industrial espionage. They also could include unintentional threats that come from user errors, equipment failures, even natural disaster. So security in our mind is really about risk management and reliability. We described earlier that security is part of really phase one of your strategy, design, and blueprinting phase. The overview that I'm providing here really isn't about smart grid cybersecurity, but I did want to mention there are really 5 critical components that should be considered in your security planning: your security strategy and roadmap, security policies and standards, your security architecture, and then, of course, end-to-end risk assessment and end-to-end security testing. What I've highlighted on this chart really are a few areas to consider to shore up your network. And so I won't read through them, but it's really consider penetration testing and application security assessments, and make sure you're compliant with NERC and NIST and SIP security frameworks, etc. And on the last page, the Smart Grid Communication Network invites active participation among its members. And I like this chart because it illustrates the traditional grid and the smart grid. And as you can see on the left, the traditional grid is really a hierarchy that allows for one-way flow of power and periodic flow of information. And on the right, you see on the smart grid, in the center is the utility with its traditional coal and nuclear and hydro power, for example, but it also incorporates utility-owned wind, solar, and energy storage. There's also power sources connected to the grid, etc. What's really the key difference is the information is flowing continuously between the customer, the utility, and all participants. So what I hope that I've shared with you is that a structured framework approach to smart grid communication supports your progressive transformation of the utility, and it invites participation among the participants. So by starting with a thorough assessment of your needs and capabilities and addressing the patterns of communication within your network, and also considering security and reporting requirements, we feel you can really build valuable intelligence into your grid. So thank you, Jesse. And
thanks, Jeff. Please, we're going to, in just a moment, invite Bob Frazier from CenterPoint up to tell their story. But first, I want to pass along a couple of questions. And Bob, you may want to jump in as well here. And this first one, I was really struck by this topic about this concept of the governance committee and including business and IT in that. And it just coincidentally over at SmartGridNews, we have a Tuesday topic every Tuesday, obviously. And today's topic is about why IT gets left out so often. There's a new IDC survey that says that fully 1/3 of all utilities don't include IT in their planning. And just sort of dump the problem onto them after they've implemented their smart grid. And that really sort of mystifies me when you look at how much value IT brings to other industries and how many issues the smart grid brings to IT, 1,000 times, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 times more data suddenly coming at them. So maybe start with Jeff and say, why is that, and is this governance concept catching on? And I'd be interested to know if Bob, if they did this kind of a committee approach as they got started.
Okay, great. Well, from my perspective, and I've been in both the IT and the business operations side, and I think we're seeing here the convergence of IT and OT, or operational transformation. And I think that's what's causing some of the problem is the business sees this as operational transformation, not IT transformation, when in essence you're digitizing an analog system and very much making it part of an IT transformation as well.
Right.
And I think culturally the business many times has a difficult time translating its future capabilities into requirements that IT knows how to manage to. And similarly, IT has a problem understanding where the business capabilities are really going. And so that sometimes causes this chasm between the two organizations.
I'm hearing repeatedly that this cross-functional committee approach has really been a key success element at other places. And Bob, how did you guys approach that issue?
This is Bob Frazier, and I am with CenterPoint. First time you've heard my voice, but the comment I would make has twofold. The historical approach has been at the transmission level, and at CenterPoint, and I'm sure other utilities, the transmission, the energy management system, and all related systems to transmission down to the substation have been independent of IT, run in a very tight environment, closely monitored, SIP, NERC compliant, and as we moved into the distribution, the thought was, gee, distribution is control. We've done this in transmission. It was separate. Why not do it in distribution? The fact of the matter is, through the collaboration of working with the IT department, many of the shared environments like database, security, operating systems, hardware implementation and install, using the IT resources that is there as opposed to going out and either contracting them or hiring new, has enabled the project to move forward and take advantage of some of the capabilities. However, we did split off in the development side a totally independent development team of what used to come out of IT as systems development, and they moved over out of IT. They're not matrix. They physically moved into the business and are reporting direct line to the business while this project's all going and potentially in a production support mode thereafter. So we are not alone, and we're certainly not the first, and I'm sure won't be the last, trying to figure out this IT, OT, and what it'll be in the long run.